Hey everybody. Well, it has been another week and it is really starting to look like a Bearcat. Um, I didn't get too much done on it after the last video as far as throughout the week. I think the last thing I covered in the last week's video was my next step was to carve out and install this tail fairing piece here. And it took me most of the week to actually get that done. Because gluing all the blocks together, getting them glued to the fuselage, and then taking my razor plane and starting to carve away. You can see I've added more filler to kind of help blend it and get the shape right. Because it's a very unique shape. Not only is it round like this, and it tapers, this way with the contour of the fuselage, but also where it goes up to the rudder, it kind of does one of these numbers. Might be able to see it better from behind. You can see how it's a real interesting shape. So to blend all that in just right with the rudder is an absolute nightmare. So this is my last filler and blend that I'm going to do, and I'm going to call it good enough. Also was working on push rods. You can see several attempts that did not go well, and I did find a location that I like for the rudder push rod, and I've decided to put a mini servo in each stab half, because to run a carbon fiber rod for the rudder and the two elevators up in this area here, they start to kind of rub up on each other, so I didn't want to go that route. And plus, I'm going to use this is going to have all Pro Modeler servos in it. Probably 270s in the wings and on the rudder. And the elevators will have, I believe, 210 ounce mini servos. So it'll be more than enough. But yeah, it's looking really good. So I spent most of the week farting around with that. And yesterday morning, I kind of slept in a little bit. So from about 11 o'clock yesterday morning until 8 o'clock, I built the wing. Of course, it's not finished, but it's all framed up, and it's definitely a wing. It went quite well. Pretty straightforward. Nothing too magical about it. You see, I got clamps holding it together just to keep the wing joiners in there, because I'm just seeing how well it fits to the fuselage, and also seeing if it's straight. And yeah, everything is literally just setting on there, and it's damn near perfect already. So that is just wonderful. When building the wing, I guess let me show you the plans here. Keep in mind that this is March of 1981. So this is pretty old school. So you can see for the ailerons, it has bell cranks going to the ailerons, and then a single servo going through like a torque tube type situation for the flaps. So you can see ailerons here, flaps here. This is how it was all intended. I'm not going to do any of this. Where this is, I'm going to cut a door, have a servo, and then here, and the same on the other side, I'll have another door and a servo going to the flaps. And also, on the plans shows hardwood blocks for wire landing gear. That's right. Wasn't even originally intended for retracts. So when I started building the wing, I was noticing I had a lot more ribs than what was necessary. Well, I think most of Nick's earlier designs he did revisions to. So this one came with a retract revision sheet for the Bearcat, which shows the Robart gear. And it's kind of hard to see. Maybe we can tilt on our side a little bit here. But you get a different set of ribs for the I think 6 and 7 and 5 to accommodate the retracts. So I did all that. That all worked out pretty nice. You can see it even the number 6 rib has a different spacing than it normally would, just to accommodate for the gear. Now that the wings are framed up, the way that it's the best way to sheet it is going to be to sheet the bottom first, and this is actually what Nick recommends. Here's your instruction manual for the wing. Yes, Nick literally just wrote on the plans, how to build the wing. So I'm going to go about it the exact same way that he is doing it. Let's see. I know a lot of you guys hate the fact that I have the TV going in the background, so I kind of purposely make the volume louder. And I'm watching a French video. Now look at this. This is the La Fierté Fun Fly back in 1989. So this was kind of Europe's Joe Knoll. Pretty cool stuff. And remember, this is 1989. And these airplanes that they're flying back then are still spectacular to today's standards. So pretty cool stuff. Look at that. Look at those radios. I love it. Oh my god. Of course, everybody's smoking. Fantastic. Anyways. So each wing panel is going to be sheeted on the bottom. And then once they're sheeted, they're going to be joined together, so there's plenty of access to get to the wing joiners to make sure they're secured in there properly. Then once they're sheeted and together, then you go in and start figuring out, where you want to put your doors, putting in your hard points for your hinges and all that good stuff. And then once all that stuff is done, then you lay the wing flat and then set a little scrap piece in the corner of the wing, which will raise the wingtip to give it the washout, then sheet the top of the wing. So pretty straightforward stuff. One thing I did notice, and was kind of a bummer, just because it makes me have to think a little bit more, is the W3B and C and 10A and 10B were nowhere to be found. Not even on the part sheet, because there's a whole nother plan sheet that's intended to be cut apart to use as templates. These are not on there, which is kind of a pisser. So when we come around here and look at the wing, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So where the flap ends and the aileron begins, the flap is supposed to have a piece that kind of comes off like this. And then the aileron also does the same thing. So there's no end to the flap or the aileron right now. So I have to figure that out. But I'll do it once the bottom is sheeted, so that I can really stick them in there, get them exactly where I want them, and adhere them to the sheeting as well. What I did do, see if we can get a better shot of it here. I did make my own pieces here for the end of the wing where it meets the fuselage, and the end piece for the flap itself. And I just did that just by making measurements and made a template. So that is good to go in there. You can see how that is going to be separated. And for sheeting this, the way I'm going to do it is start by sheeting the trailing edge right to the end right here. So I'll be doing the flaps and the ailerons as separate pieces, and the trailing edge will follow this, little step right here. And this part right here, which is going to be cut out, I'm going to leave exposed. Because typically when you would sheet a wing, you glue a bunch of sheets together, then you sprinkle a bunch of glue on the ribs, lay the sheeting over the top, put a bunch of weight on it, and hope for the best. I just can't do it that way. That does not work for me. Yeah, I've never had good luck doing that. The only time I've had good luck sheeting in one piece is if it's a foam wing. And I think, last spring I went over when I built the wings for the Hostetler Chipmunk. Yeah, there they are up there. I showed how my method of sheeting works, and it's very similar to the fuselage, just piece at a time, and just kind of stand them and blend them as you go, and your end result is a nice smooth surface. Landing gear rails are all put in, and as you'll notice, they are not completely slobbered on there. They're not glassed in or anything fancy like that. And I know I've talked about this before, and I'm just repeating myself. These are my weak point. These are my breakaway point for the landing gear. Because let's just say I have a bad landing or an off-runway landing where I can't get the landing gear up, or I hit a gopher hole in the middle of the runway. If that gear is going to get pulled out of the wing, I want it to just pull the blocks out. So if these are all glassed in, all sorts of reinforcement and carbon fiber to keep it all strong, if that gear gets pulled out, it's going to obliterate the wing, and it will be absolutely destroyed. So this is going to be left as is. I'll probably put some triangle stock on there just because no matter what your expectations are, you should probably do that. But yeah, I want those to be able to break. And I'm not one to typically bounce an airplane on landing, but even if I do, they're plenty strong as is to hold the gear in place. But they are a breakaway point in the case of a very, very unfortunate situation. So that is that. Not sure how much work I'll get done on it today. I went to a swap meet this morning and actually picked up some goodies. That's one of them. For my collection, because as you all know, I'm an Airtronics man, amongst many others. Got a nice Airtronics 6-channel. This was the last radio Airtronics release before they kind of went by the wayside. I paid either $5 or $10 for it, and it works. It's perfect. Nice for my collection, and I'll use it too. Why the hell not? And I also picked up this Great Plains Cap 232 kit. That's right, no ARF poo-poo stuff. This is a kit. Fantastic little airplane. I've already gone through and looked at it. These are such amazing kits. They are so easy to build. They're strong. Just fantastic. Probably I will build that this winter. We'll see. But yeah, stay tuned, because you never know. Because I'm kind of projecting that this will probably be ready for covering by Thanksgiving. Maybe. And that's pretty crazy considering that it's a scratch-built, giant-scale Ziroli airplane. And also, while I was at the swap meet, I went there for a main reason, is I picked up a G38. Now, why did I pick up a G38? Well, as we all know, my B-25, the engines finally gave out and just are losing their lease on life. I had a couple older G38s, but I wanted this version here. And after I got my Ziroli Twin Beach, it's got the G38s like this one here, and that is just a sweetheart of a combination. So, for all my flying buddies out there, take a good look at that G38. Carburetor with the throttle that needs the bell crank to operate, like yay. So the high speed and low speed needle are facing directly forward. The thick aluminum prop hub. I need another one just like this. Okay? The muffler, I can get a muffler even if it doesn't have the B&B mount. I can get one of those, but the carburetor needs to be in this orientation. Have the larger aluminum prop hub, preferably. I mean, asking for a new one is that's kind of asking a lot, but lightly used or really, really good condition. Because if I can get another one just like that, then we'll get the B-25 going. So, fingers crossed I can get another one sometime this winter, and we'll get the B-25 back in the air next year. I'm getting quite a few engines piled up here. Holy monkeys. Need to do something. And under there is glow engine heaven. All sorts of glow engines. And there's a box full of quadras down there. So much crap. Oh my god. Almost makes me ill. And last month, my good buddy John Hudak surprised me with these little jewels right here. We have some 5¼ inch Byron wheels in the package. So I will not be using these, but you know, we look at them, the tread says Byron Originals on one side, and says Goodyear on the other, and they made these themselves. These are their own, and of course, in the package. John, thank you, buddy. These are cool. They're going to look awesome in my collection. In fact, they're probably just going to hang up somewhere, but still, they're there. They will never be misplaced or thrown away. Looks like a big Corsair having an issue. Oh, well, darn. That's a pretty big Corsair for 1989, isn't it? Look at that radio. No 2.4. Probably not even FM. Might be AM. Who knows? Since it's over in Europe, I can guarantee it's 75 megahertz, not 72. But anyway, yeah, I've just been kind of cleaning some stuff up. When I'm in between things to do on the airplane, I like to get things cleaned up. So yeah, I think that pretty much brings us up to speed on the wing. Ooh, back to the video. Got George Vogel saying, such a awesome individual. Kind of the kingpin of just absolutely unbelievable giant scale airplanes back in the day. Just what an immaculate builder and flyer. Everything he had, he built himself, which is just phenomenal. Awesome. Let's see. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a reason that I need to not sheet the wings. I don't think there is. Because I can make my doors, all that stuff, that's pretty generic. Landing gear should fit. So I think before I start sheeting the wings, I'm going to finish up that tail section, mainly that stupid tail fairing cone thing back there. And I'll get that all wrapped up before I start sheeting the wing, just so I can call that complete. And so far, everything is turning out really nice, really light. And just the way everything is fitting so far, I've had to tweak nothing. If I could literally glue it together just like that, I bet it'd be perfect. Oh, excuse me. So, for hinging, I am going to do it like it is meant to be on the plans. If you're not a builder, all this stuff might look rather confusing, especially when it's backwards over here. There's just you know, pieces of wood and stuff all over the place. So if you're not sure exactly what you're looking at, it can be kind of difficult. You really have to study these plans. I mean, before I even started working on the wing, I was studying the plans pretty good. So you can see the ailerons are meant to be, you know, cut apart and then sanded and beveled, and they'll be hinged up on the top. Now the plans are showing to use a flat hinge. I'm going to use a Robart hinge, so I'll put bigger blocks in here for the Robart hinge to have something to go into. So they'll be hinged on the top of the wing, and the flaps are hinged on the bottom of the wing, so the flap will actually kind of drop down like this. Actually, yeah, you can see it in the picture. It just won't have any of the hidden linkage or anything like that. You look at all these adjustable pieces that, you know, that are in there. You know, that could come loose, that could come loose, that could come loose. Oh, man. So why was it like this? I'm sure somebody will ask. Why was it even intended like this? Why would you want to just have one servo on all this junk? Why would you want to have bell cranks on a big airplane? Because in 1981, giant scale modeling was kind of for the elite. Because back then, a 4-channel radio system, just a basic 4-channel radio, no computerization, no 2.4, none of that. 4-channel radio could cost you between $400 and $600. Awesome. And that's back in the 80s. where $400 or $600 was, you know, talking like $2,000 today. So to fly a big airplane back then, Nick designed his earlier planes like this so people could easily get into it. I mean, no retracts, 2 servos go in the wing, a flap and an aileron servo. The plans were drawn around a Quadra 35, which was a very economical engine. So you could have an 87-inch Bearcat for not a whole lot of money. So that was kind of the intent. But then, of course, throughout the years, you know, he made revisions to a lot of his plans to accommodate the landing gears that were made for him. But, yeah, this is a 1981 design. And it's pretty darn cool, isn't it? Alright. I am totally being distracted by the video on the TV there, so I'm going to go back and watch that. And I kind of want to get started on that, like right now. No, focus. We need to stay on this. So that's where we're at. Next week, there should be some sheeting on there. Should be. I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be. Taking my trailer in tomorrow to get it repaired. I did some work on the roof of the house today. Still no insurance money. Everything out of pocket so far. Fantastic. Sometimes. All right. Until the next time, later.